This is my kitchen centrifuge. It can spin at up to 15,000 RPM. And as it does, it generates forces up to 30,000 Gs. Those G forces can pull foods apart based on incredibly small differences in the density of different molecules. Check this out. My pea puree has been divided into 3 distinct layers. On the bottom are the large plant solid molecules that frankly taste of nothing. And on the top is the sweet pea juice that's filled with pigments, flavor molecules, and natural sugars that are too small to be pulled out of the water. But in between these 2 layers is a 3rd layer that I would call pea butter, and it's delicious. Now the way I made this was I started with some garden peas and pureed them in my blender. Then I carefully weighed this puree into my high-speed centrifuge bottles, making sure each bottle weighs the same amount. Then I just load them into the carbon fiber rotor and spin them up to 30,000 Gs for about half an hour. At full speed, the forces inside this centrifuge are so extreme that if that carbon fiber rotor developed a crack and failed, it would be catastrophic. It'd be like a fully loaded semi-tractor trailer crashing through this kitchen. Thankfully, that's not going to happen. And as this hums along, it's going to pull my food apart into layers of different density, with each layer having its own distinct flavor and texture that can't be created in any other way. And that's what I love about a centrifuge. If you're a creatively minded chef, a centrifuge lets you get at tastes and textures and flavors of an ingredient that you cannot get any other way. In the case of my garden pea puree, I can just pour off this sweet pea juice. And you can see right on top is that vivid green glossy layer of pea butter. And I'll just scrape some of that out with my palette knife. There. Look at that. It's vivid green. It has the texture of a really warm butter, or maybe an oil paint. And when you take a bite, Now, you might be wondering, what else will spin? And in the rest of today's video, we're going to find out, starting with this ribeye steak, which I reverse seared to medium rare using my 2nd generation predictive thermometer that I design and build with my team at Combustion Inc. when I'm not playing with my kitchen centrifuge. The predictive thermometer has 8 sensors to give you total temperature awareness, can survive cooking temperatures up to 900 degrees Fahrenheit, and is Wi-Fi enabled so you can keep an eye on your cook from anywhere. Now, let's pull the steak apart with 30,000 Gs. Get in there. Doesn't look delicious. Let's see what happens after we spin it. A lot of fat in that steak. Let's see how this tastes. Let's strain our steak juice. Season it with a bit of salt and pepper. It is a steak after all. I feel like a whiskey tumbler is the right kind of glass to drink a steak from. Cheers. It tastes exactly like drinking a delicious ribeye steak. It tastes nothing like beef stock. It's just concentrated essence of steak, and it's pretty delicious. But what about another staple of the American diet? What about a Big Mac? That does not look delicious, but for science, you get some of what I assume is kind of the bun. That is the toasted sesame bun. It's got kind of a smooth peanut butter texture. Not amazing. Go for the in-between layer there. Just no. Here, you give this a try. Give me that camera.
All right.
What do you think?
It's like really strong lettuce taste.
Yeah, you totally get the lettuce in the special sauce.
I actually kind of like it, but that's just because I really like fast food.
No, I do not need that in my life. But what about something more delicious? What about pizza? This is Post Alley Pizza, home of one of Seattle's best New York style slices. The question is, will this pizza spin? My poor blender. Uh-oh. Something has cracked. Oh yeah. So I've been pushing these bottles pretty hard, and under these forces, the plastic fatigues and eventually cracks. These bottles are actually consumable. They don't last forever, and this one has sprayed pizza puree everywhere. So that's gonna be fun to clean up. Oh, okay, this one's good. That's interesting. That's separated into 3-4 distinct layers. Smells like pizza. Get some of that pepperoni butter if I can. That is the essence of pepperoni pizza. That is delicious. I would eat that again. Let me get at some of the other layers. It's the cheese. It's delicious. It is salty, cheesy, not fatty. It's a watery layer. That's really good. I'm gonna go for what I assume is the crust. That is really soft. It's maybe peanut butter, but really soft peanut butter. Yep, that's the crust. It is toasty. You get the wheat notes. It's perfectly smooth. That's delicious. You've completely pulled the pizza apart into the separate layers. I think that's delicious. It's interesting. Now, I am not the only crazy person to love their culinary centrifuge. My good friend Dave Arnold loves his so much that he actually created the Spinzall centrifuge that's become popular with mixologists around the world. And the most creative use of a culinary centrifuge that I've seen was actually something that my good friend and famous coffee YouTuber James Hoffmann came up with back in 2007. James had the great idea to use a centrifuge to combine two things that go incredibly well together into a single drink: coffee and donuts. Let's make that drink. The reason I'm centrifuging this donut-infused milk is if I just tried to strain and then steam it for a latte or a cappuccino, all the excess fat and gluten from the donuts is going to prevent me from getting the texture that I want. Now, James does actually have a recipe for how to do this without a centrifuge on his YouTube channel, and I'll put a link in the description below. But admittedly, an $18,000 centrifuge does make this easier. Check out these layers. So the top layer of fat is the actual frying oil from making the donuts. Below that, the white fat is actually the dairy fat. It's from the cream that we've spun out of the skim milk that's below it. And then below that are the solids from the donut, the starch, the gluten, some of the sugars. So the part I want that's going to be infused with the flavor of donuts is going to be that dairy layer in between, the dairy fat and the skim milk. So I'm going to pour that off, mix it back together, and use that to make our latte. Delicious. Tastes exactly like a Krispy Kreme donut. So I have my donut-infused milk for my latte now, but there is a problem. Despite having a kitchen centrifuge, I don't actually have an espresso machine. But my local coffee shop Santo does. So let's go get a latte. Sailor, can I get a cortado, but can you use my donut milk?
I guess. Let's go.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It tastes exactly like a Krispy Kreme donut with some delicious espresso. Ooh. What else should I spin in my culinary centrifuge? Let me know in the comments below. And thank you so very much for watching. And Mike, you were right. 4-to-1 ratio, better.